Today we're going to start a series called What's in My Pack. This is going to be a series of videos where I break down the individual items that I carry in my basic overall pack. Now my pack setup changes from trip to trip depending on my needs, but this is kind of my basic overall setup. And right now you can see I'm using my new Exos 58 by Osprey. And as I said before, I'm not an expert. I do have a lot of experience and I know what works really well for me, and that's the important key. You have to take stuff with you that works for you. Now what a lot of YouTubers do in the outdoor community is they do one video where they show all of their stuff all at once. And that works really well, but it doesn't get a lot of time to get really in depth into things and tends to go a little long, especially when you carry more equipment than some others do. So I intend to do this over a period of a few days, break it up into the different categories, if you will: sleep system, pack, clothing, cooking equipment, and things like that, to kind of break up the videos a little bit. So anyways, we'll get started by just getting things unpacked.
There it is in all of its glory. My basic kit. All of it came from that. And base weight without food or water is right around 20 pounds, a little less than 20 pounds depending on what I'm bringing with me. But you can see we've got hydration, various things such as first aid kit, repair kit, personal effects, headlamps and stuff. You'll see what's in that bag here in a little bit. Bear bag and bear line, because I do live in grizzly country. Rain gear, insulation, clothing, camp shoes, my sleeping kit, and my cook set, and the pack.
Real quick before I get started, I just want to make sure that everybody knows I don't receive any endorsement from any gear companies. I don't receive any free equipment. I do work in outdoor retail, but I'm not affiliated with any of the companies and did not receive any money to give any kind of review. Alright, so the first area of gear I want to focus on is the pack itself, and then a few of the items that I carry on the outside of the pack. The pack that I'm using right now is the Exos 58 by Osprey. And I just got this pack this year, and already I really love it. It's a pretty basic, nuts and bolts, no frills kind of pack. You have one main compartment. It's only top access. There's no lower zippers or anything like that. And then you have the brain compartment, which also has a small pocket underneath. The brain is removable, and there is an extra flap under here to kind of protect things from the element if you decide to use this as, say, a day pack or just don't need the extra amount of stuff. You can go ahead and leave the brain compartment behind. And then it has two accessory pockets on the side and one mesh pocket in the front with a few accessory straps on the outside. And that's really all there is to this pack. This pack is in their ultralight category. So it's a fairly lightweight pack, only weighs 2.5 pounds. The suspension on this pack is a springboard back, which provides really great ventilation. But one of the drawbacks to this pack is it is not adjustable. It does have a fixed shoulder yoke, so it can be a little bit problematic with fitting of the pack. Another thing that this pack lacks that I kind of wish it had was hip pockets. It seems like a bit extraneous, but they're actually really handy. You can keep a snack in there, you can keep your phone ready to go, and they are really handy. To kind of combat that, I do put on mine this little old piece of equipment. This is an old pouch that used to be made by Outdoor Research. I think they called them the Possum. They don't make these anymore, unfortunately, but this is a great little pouch with main compartment, and it fits my cell phone. I can put a candy bar in there. I can put a compass in there. Yes, I do still use a compass. And it's just a nice little accessory pouch to have in lieu of those hip pockets. Really great addition to the kit. The next thing I carry on the outside, often in my hands when I'm using them, are my trekking poles. You're going to learn over time that I'm a little bit of a blend of old school / traditional and new ultralight equipment. And this is one area that I am a little old school. I've had these poles since probably 1999 or 2000. And they're just a pair of Lecky poles, very basic aluminum, carbide tip, rubber handle. They're nothing special, but they have been through a lot of trips with me, and they've always worked really well. And my kind of philosophy sometimes is, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So I'll probably continue to use these until they do break, and then I will probably go with something that's a little bit lighter and maybe a more comfortable grip. But we'll see what happens. Bottom of my pack, I have a Thermarest seat. Or as one of the persons that I follow on YouTube calls it, the ass pad. And it's just a closed cell foam pad that I can throw down on the ground. It's a lot more comfortable than sitting on the direct dirt and rocks, which were plentiful here in Montana. And it's just a very lightweight, very inexpensive piece of equipment you can throw on the pack. It doesn't take up any space. It weighs just a couple of ounces, and it works very well. In the main compartment, or the front of the compartment of the pack, I do have my camp shoes, which right now are a pair of Teva sandals with a buckle strap. And the reason that I use is, one, they're really comfortable, and it's really nice to get out of my boots at the end of the day, and I do still wear boots most of the time. But the other thing is that they're durable enough and sturdy enough that I can use them in stream crossings. In Montana, in the early season, there's a lot of snowmelt, and even small streams can become pretty treacherous crossing. And it's nice to be able to have a really solid sandal to be able to wear in those kind of conditions. It's also where the trekking poles really come in handy. Also in that pouch, I carry my cat hole kit, or poop bag, whatever you want to call it. And it is just for that. It is what I take with me to go relieve myself in the backcountry. Of course, I have a trowel, and this one is the Deuce of Spades. It's a very lightweight shovel. I was a little skeptical about this when I first saw it. They are pretty tough. They're not super comfortable in the hand, but considering how often I use this, it's a small sacrifice for a lot less weight. I have seen this used in the backcountry here in Montana, which is extremely rocky, and it does hold up. So very important piece of equipment. And then equally important, there is a roll of toilet paper. And then I have the extra plastic bag. And this little bag here is the only plastic bag that I don't recycle because it's used to store my used toilet paper. I do practice leave no trace ethics, and because nobody likes to go into a campsite and find a bunch of Charmin blooms. And Charmin blooms are used toilet paper that have been dug up or not buried at all, and they're just kind of left out on the ground. It's basically just a shitty flower. And that's just really not cool. So it's a lot easier to just go ahead and pack the stuff out. So basically when I'm done, I put it into this bag. It all goes back into this bag, which is keeping it all together so that I don't have to see it throughout the rest of the trip. And it just goes on the outside of my pack. And then last, I do still use Nalgene water bottles. I have not switched over to the smart water bottles that a lot of thru hikers are using, although that may change, I don't know. But these really aren't that much heavier, and they're pretty durable, and they're measured, so it's a lot easier to figure out how much water I can throw out or I can use for cooking. I do sometimes use a hydration bag, but I found that when I do use a hydration bag, I still end up carrying one of these because I like to have a bottle in camp. I find that using the hydration bag is a little cumbersome. Just my own personal take on it. There's nothing wrong with them at all. But sometimes I like to just be able to have a bottle in camp. So I'll typically carry one of these either empty or I'll use it as a backup water source. But there's usually always at least one Nalgene with me. So yeah, that's about all for the outside of the pack. Of course, the next video, we'll kind of start diving into some of the stuff that's on the inside. I hope that you really liked the video. If you do like the video, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to try to put videos out as often as I can. And thanks for watching.